Hello. It has been a minute since I've made a video, but here I am. I'm back, and I've got a couple of new monsters for you. This time, we're fighting Slogra and Gaibon, the first real boss of Symphony of the Night and a recurring enemy throughout the Castlevania series, or recurring pair of enemies, rather. I've designed them to be an early level tag team boss fight in of themselves for a level 2 party. Although you could theoretically throw them at level 1s, I really don't suggest it. They would wipe the floor with them. But aside from that, let's get right into it. I'm looking at Slogra right now, and we will get the Gaibon. So, we have Slogra, Servant of Death, a fiend in direct service to a manifestation of death. Trained in the art of war by souls it has stolen from the battlefield, it prefers to take its foes by surprise, using ambush tactics to take out a threat before it can respond. Slogra are often seen working with Gaibon, who prefer their light frames and aggressive nature. Gaibon do not condemn the Slogra's conventionally cowardly tactics, and even encourage it. So, Slogra and Gaibon are both uncommon, large, unholy fiends. They're both level 3. Slogra here has a perception of 9 and dark vision. Both of them will speak Common, Daemonic, and Necral, which are thematic languages for them, and for the ability to commune with your party. Slogra here has an Acrobatics of 10, an Athletics of 11, an Intimidation of 10, and Warfare Lore 9. Has a Strength of 3, Dex of 4, Con of 1, Int of 1, Wiz of 3, and Charisma of 1. They have an AC of 19, but an AC of 20 while parrying, which you'll find out they are doing most of the time. A Fortitude of 7, a Reflex of 12, and a Will of 9. So they're kind of stringy. They're not very durable, but they're quick, and they're a little more strong-minded than they are resolute in their physical features. They have a pretty low moderate HP of 41, and immunities to death effects as a benefit of being a servant of death. They are lightweight. Slogra are light and built for ambushes, treating all falls as if they were 20 feet shorter when determining falling damage. They have reactive strike, which is the same as it always is, so this is a warrior type creature, and they will be able to punish you for making certain types of actions within their reach. They have Spear Sentinel. Slogra treats any two-handed spear or polearm as if it had the parry trait, and may gain the benefits of the parry trait as a free action while properly wielding its spear or polearm. If its grip is loosened or lost on its spear, such as with a successful disarm, it cannot benefit from parry. I just now realized I did forget the item section. They have a broad spear. It's not enchanted, it's not magical, it's just a normal broad spear. It's sized for them, so it's large. Good creature for your giant barbarian to loot. So they have a speed of 25 feet, pretty basic. They have a Jaws melee, which has a reach of 5 feet, is unarmed and unholy, and deals 1d10 plus 6 piercing damage. They have a broad spear, which they are more specialized with, dealing having a plus 12 chance to hit, a reach of 10 feet, sweet, unholy, and the versatile S property at 1d10 plus 6 piercing as well, but much more likely to hit with it. They have a offensive reaction called Diving Strike. The trigger is that the Slogra has fallen at least 5 feet and is within melee reach of a creature. The Slogra makes a melee strike against the triggering creature. The strike gains the deadly D8 trait. If it hits, the creature must succeed a DC 20 fortitude save or be knocked prone. So if they're falling a significant distance, they can lash out with their spear or even their jaws and knock a foe over and potentially deal significantly more damage on a critical hit. This does not have the wording to remove multiple attack penalty for it. So if this happens on its turn, such as if it leaps down from somewhere after attacking, multiple attack penalty can apply to this. However, if it's not its turn, there is no multiple attack penalty. So if it happens to fall or be dropped, say by a Gaibon, it is able to make this attack with its full full attack bonus. However, of course, reactive strike and diving strike are sharing this reaction, so it will depend on what they want to do. Leaper. Slogra leap with uncanny ease. They reduce the DC of any high jump or long jump by 5. So they're going to very easily be able to make their maximum long jumps, and a high jump is well within their ability to get enough to trigger Diving Strike if they roll well. And so like, but that's not their main thing. They'll normally start out somewhere high up, as their teamwork is here. They prefer to have allies when they fight, overwhelming and animate an enemy with numbers and varied tactics to prevent retaliation from foes by extreme violence. This is their predominant tactic, and when it fails, they use the most of the verticality of their surroundings to gain advantage over their foes. So they'll climb up to high places and jump down to, one, keep you from attacking them as long as possible, and then be able to provide a more devastating attack when they jump down. And they'll do that. They are conventionally cowardly. They will try and run. They will use every advantage they've got in the book, and they prefer ambushes. But let's look at their preferred ally, Gaibon. Gaibon, also a servant of death, a fiend in direct service to a manifestation of death. Its gullet is said to connect directly to the fires of hell, though no devil recognizes a Gaibon as one of its own. So Gaibon, just like Slogra, is an uncommon, large, unholy fiend, has a perception of 9 and dark vision, speaks common, demonic, and necral, but its skills are a little bit different. We have acrobatics 10, which is the same, but we have athletics of 9 and intimidation of 9. We have a strength of 3, dex of 4, con of 3, int of 1, wiz of 1, and charisma of 3. We have 18 armor class with nothing special there, a fort of 9, reflex of 12, and will of 7. So you'll notice that they both share a very high reflex. That's going to be sort of their shared strength. But Gaibon is a little weaker on the will side, where Slogra is a little weaker on the fortitude side. So you can use those weaknesses to your advantage when trying to split them up. They have a little more hit points at 47, but it's still well within the moderate to moderate low range. They are immune to death effects, just as Slogra are, and have resistance to fire 5 unless it's holy fire, which, while you're not likely to have holy fire early on when this might be a boss creature, later on when Gaibon become a more regular creature, you might have something that is fire and holy. They have a special passive that when called Red Rush, which is when they're at half or below their total hit points, they turn red and enter a furious state, gaining a +1 status bonus to all saves, attack rolls, damage rolls, and skill checks, but suffers a -1 status penalty to AC and is quickened, though it may only use this quicken action to fly or make flame breath strikes. This is to sort of simulate its second phase in the boss fight in Symphony of the Night. Similarly to how the downside of Spear Sentinel for Slogra is Slogra's second phase, where you knock its spear out of its hand, it loses some defense, and it will start becoming aggressive in different ways. It's got a speed of 25 feet and a fly speed of 30 feet. Has a +11 Jaws attack, which is unarmed, unholy, and deals a d12 +6 piercing. Has an unarmed, unholy, agile finesse talon attack at +12. That is 1d6 +6 slashing. And its sort of core attack is a ranged flame breath, which is +12, fire, unholy, and has a range increment of 20 feet and deals 2d8 fire damage, which is an average of 9. So it's got a much lower floor, but its ceiling is about the same as its Jaws. It has Carrier Specialist, which basically allows it, while it's grabbed or restraining a large or smaller creature within its talons, it can carry them by flying at half speed. And it may grab willing creatures with its talons as an interact action that does not require a check. And it has Flare Blast, which is a 2-action special attack for its Flame Breath. It builds fire in its gullet before unleashing it, making a Flame Breath strike, adding an additional 1d8 fire damage to the strike. and on a critical hit, they also take 1d6 persistent fire damage. So we'll read teamwork right here. And Gaibon are rarely alone, although they just as rarely work with their own kind. They prefer to work in tandem with more direct fighters who take the front line while they support from the air, even airdropping allies directly over foes. And this makes them particularly good at working with Slogra's preference of dive bombing enemies with their spear, or even their beaks, while acting more as a ranged backup rather than an in-your-face fighter. They are not particularly good for the front line, but they are pretty severe suppressive fire allies. So they're quite good at shooting from the back. And as level 3 creatures, these two together make for a great tag team boss fight of a severe encounter or a party of level 2s. You could, of course, buff them and do it for level 3, or you could make them weaker and do it for level 1, or have them sort of teased in earlier, sort of like there's an Easter egg in Symphony of the Night where if you get to the alchemical laboratory and then backtrack to where Death was, you actually get a mini boss fight with them where they don't have their second phases and they will retreat to their normal boss room. So that's a good way to be able to sort of like look at it and be like, oh, here's the teaser, and they'll just back off if you're beating them up too much, or if they maybe beat you up too much and they're like, ha ha ha, you can't get any deeper. This is our thing now, as the GM sees fit. So you can get an idea of what's up with them early on. But I wanted these two to work together in a way that was reflective of their boss fight in Symphony of the Night, as well as being a good pair to use recall knowledge on if you could. One, it'll let you separate their weaknesses and understand that. Realizing that Slogra's spear is a huge reason why its defense is so high is a really good reason to disarm it, or to get it to drop its spear for whatever reason. And figuring out that Gaibon goes into a furious state when it's at half HP might be a reason to focus it down or leave it for last, if possible. But that's it for Slogra and Gaibon. There's a lot of tactical possibilities with the two of them. I highly I highly suggest that if you do use these two, that you do it in an arena or boss area where there's a lot of verticality to be used not only by Slogra and Gaibon, but also the players. Let them get up and use the verticality to their advantage as well, or to their defense, as it may be. So let me know what you think. I'll have some links in the description below. I'm going through a bit of a rough patch right now. That's why I haven't posted any videos recently. So if any of you want to help out with the Token Border project, please check out my Ko-Fi link down there, and check out my Patreon, where these creatures are available 100% free with a full transcript so you can copy and paste text. And thank you for coming. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff. And I'll see you later. Thank you very much.